I did have to pull these out of the laundry. They're completely dirty. But hey, you can't smell through the camera, so it's fine.
Lizzie McGuire, you are an outfit repeater.
Today I want to talk about how to create an effect with your outfit using only accessories as well as hair and makeup, or at least how I like to approach it. I feel like there's a big difference between just wearing clothes and wearing an outfit. Clothes are just what you wear because you have to wear something. That's usually a very utilitarian approach of just wearing something to meet a purpose, whereas an outfit, typically there's more thought, more intention behind it, and we're typically trying to evoke a certain feeling, or a vibe is the go-to word these days, but we might not always have the particular clothing items within a certain style that we would like, but I think we can still work around that to create the effect we want with our accessories, our shoes, and our hair and makeup. So I'm going to show you how I do this using the most basic outfit formula, the classic white button down and a pair of blue jeans, and style this in 3 different ways to create 3 completely different looks. To start off with, like I said, I just have a plain off-white button down as well as some blue jeans. I wanted to go with my baggier jeans with the distressing in them because these just are really frumpy, but I kind of thought that might actually work. That might illustrate the point better if I can style these to look a little bit better. The distressed jeans have a little bit more personality to them. These just have nothing. It's giving nothing. With how scraggly my hair is right now, from here up, I kind of feel like I'm giving Caucasian Jesus vibes. Just picture me coming out of the water with a little halo and like a dove. No? Okay. So this baseline that we're starting with, I don't like it. To remedy that, I'm gonna try to style it in 3 different broad style umbrellas. I don't know what word I'm looking for. 3 broad style categories. I'm not gonna be going into like niche internet aesthetics and all of that. I'm gonna try to keep it pretty general just so that you can tailor this to your own needs and your own aesthetics that you like. So the first direction I want to try to take this in is a very natural, earthy, kind of boho style, which is why I left my hair in its wild woman state. So this can encompass boho as well as sort of sporty looks. Anything that kind of falls within that minimal effort, very natural state of being type of look. So if I were gonna go the sporty route with this, I don't want to spend too much time on that, so I'll just address that really quickly. For a more sporty vibe with the button down and jeans, I mean, it's hard to go wrong with a high top Converse. Typically a sporty vibe feels a little bit more utilitarian, so I would go with a book bag. Is the baseball cap leaning into it too hard, too cliche? I feel like we're not starting off strong. I think it's the cut of the jeans that is just a little weird. Wonder if I just roll them up. I think that's worse. Hey, yeah, that's worse. That's way worse. Well, sporty is not one of my go-to looks, styles, aesthetics. So obviously this is really grasping at straws here, but keeping the jewelry minimal, going with a fun sneaker, a low pony, and or a baseball cap. I mean, these are like the cliche things that we think of when we think of sports, right? No, just me. Anyway, okay, you know what? I'm gonna move on from this because this was not the part I wanted to focus on. I want to look more closely at creating a boho vibe. Okay, well, this was a hot mess. Guys, I really feel like I should just get my baggy jeans. Part of the problem I'm running into with these is that they're just kind of ugly. Hang on. Guys, this is already so much better. I should have just started with these. But now I want to retry the sporty vibe really quick with these different pants because wow, it already is just better. Jeans make such a difference. Okay. These are the jeans I'm going to stick with for the rest of the video because those other ones were just like, they are utilitarian. Like I said, those are just like, I need to wear clothes jeans, you know? I did have to pull these out of the laundry. They're completely dirty. But hey, you can't smell through the camera, so it's fine. They haven't invented smell-o-vision yet, so I think I'm good. Ouch. Basically the same elements, but so much better with these looser fit, ripped up jeans. Actually, this kind of almost looks like maybe I was out playing some kickball and scuffed my pants. No, it doesn't. It looks manufactured. I didn't even earn this. Actually, one day while I was wearing these pants, my 3-year-old nephew comes up to me and he looks at my jeans and he goes,
it's a little bit broken.
I say, yes, it is, baby. Yes, it is. From the mouth of babes. Such wisdom. Basic sporty vibe, not my go-to, but it's all right. Let's move on to the more boho vibe, which is what I wanted to focus on. So if you're someone like me who spends a lot of time thinking about clothes and costumes and outfits, this might be kind of just intuitive to you, and it might feel kind of silly to break it down like this, but it occurred to me that not everyone thinks like this. So I'm gonna try to put words to my thought process, the thought process that I don't actually think about. So the best advice I can give if you're trying to create a particular effect is word association. Get your Freud on. Leave out the Oedipal complex, please. So what I mean by that is, what words do you think of when you think of natural, boho, earthy? What colors, what textures, what lines, what shapes? I usually think of, obviously, earth tones, so a lot of browns and greens, usually softer lines. I mean, I guess you have like the bark on the trees and those are pretty rigid. Anything with natural stone or like woven elements. Once you start throwing around words, you might be surprised how easily they come to you. So working with those words we've kind of thrown out there, let's see what we can put together. So for now, I'm just gonna go with my brown sandals. I wear these so much in the summer. I know you can probably see that they're very dirty and I don't care. I don't care. I kind of don't like that. Okay, let's just focus on the other accessories and then see what happens. So I mentioned things with natural stone, so that could be something like these earrings. I have that on my ring here as well. So maybe like a crystal necklace. Maybe if you're going for a piratey look, the shark tooth is really good. And these are both on leather straps, so again, that's a naturally occurring thing. Well, it has to be processed, but it is made from a natural material. You know what I mean. I also feel like lots of rings tends to create a very bohemian vibe. But if it's not your thing, then skip it, you know? Get in my ear, come on. Okay, I think that's all I really want to do. All I want to do is have some fun. Oh, do I want to like tie it? More rings. I think that's all I want to do for jewelry. I'm not really a fan of bracelets these days. I feel like they're in the way. But if you like that, I think you can go crazy with the bracelets as well. The more it looks like an eclectic, like, I just picked these up on my travels kind of feeling, the better, which I kind of did. And then I decided to tie this in the front. I don't know, I just felt like it gave it a more relaxed, casual look to it, if that makes sense. And I think that actually helps the sandals for some reason. So something with my hair. Let's do something with my hair. I want to leave it mostly in its wild woman state, but I feel like I need to do something. Getting a little bit like 70s hippie right now with the scarf. I like it. It needs to be the other way. Hang on. Okay, I think this is where I'm gonna leave it, actually. Do I want these sunglasses? Heck yeah, I want these sunglasses. Yeah, okay, so plain white button down, basic jeans. We're looking very 70s hippie boho right now. I wasn't sure about the sandals, but actually with everything else now it looks fine. Especially because these are both lighter shades of brown. They're not the same, but it doesn't need to be that matchy-matchy. If it's super matchy-matchy, sometimes it gets a little weird. So for hair and makeup, I would go with something very minimal, probably not do much of anything to my hair. I usually straighten the fringe around my face and just shape it up a little bit, but I would probably just leave my hair however it was when I woke up. So I braided it overnight to get it wavy like this. I would go with minimal makeup. I have a little bit more on right now just because I'm filming, but typically I would go with soft muted colors if I did more than like a very baseline face of makeup. Jewelry, you want it to be pretty eclectic and earthy. Again, try to think of those words that come up in free association. So the stone, the leather, just kind of eclectic, crazy looking stuff. And then for my sandals and my purse, just very muted natural browns. And the hair scarf was kind of an unexpected player in this, but this not only adds the floral element, it also just has those flowy, loose lines that would be something that we'd probably see occurring in nature. Cool, I'm quite content with this.
But
But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, maybe you'll get sick of being the monster out of my head, under my bed. Think you're something out of my nightmares. Standing right there.
So the next broad style category that I want to tackle, I would call the kind of classic style. And so to go back to the idea of free associating and coming up with words that fit within this category, what comes to mind for me is usually clean, simple, elegant, preppy, very like upper middle class. I think even that kind of old money aesthetic kind of fits within this. It's not really my personal preference, but this does tend to be a very easy aesthetic for most people to copy because it does rely so heavily on those typical wardrobe staple pieces that many of us either have or can easily acquire. The button down and the jeans being the most go-to combination within this style. So to start out with, I went ahead and kind of straightened slash curled my hair. I don't know, I wanted to do a sleeker look. I wanted to make my hair look a little bit more polished. I did a really quick like hack job of it, but just to get the point across. And then for shoes, I went with my white sneakers. Oh, I'm just realizing how much they don't go with the button down because the button down's kind of very off-white. Yeah, typically I feel like the white sneakers are a very clean and preppy look, but I don't think I like it with this button down. Let me try a different shoe real quick. I don't think those really work. No, that looks a little piratey. Okay, we're rolling with the sneakers. The boots were just not quite it. Again, the words we're going with are clean, simple, polished, elegant, that kind of thing. So let's see what jewelry we can find for that. Out of the pre-selected stuff that I already pulled out of my collection. So this is definitely one of those aesthetics where less is more when it comes to accessories. So for jewelry, what I ultimately went with is just 2 simple layered necklaces. All of my stuff is costume jewelry, but this is stuff that kind of, you can pretend that it's not. This is my birthstone. I guarantee it's, you know, fake, but it looks shiny and fancy, right? And then these simple gold hoops from Walmart. Anything that just looks simple and elegant. So pearls are a really good choice, anything with pearls. This hair clip is from the dollar store, but I think it looks pretty nice. And then this I made myself. With the rings as well, I decided to just simplify and reduce it down to 2 per hand. And I also stuck with all gold for this. I've been mixing my metals a lot more this year and having a lot of fun with that, but I think for this kind of preppy classic aesthetic, you can mix your metals. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but I think to really go 100% with this effect, I wanted to keep the metal colors the same. And for my hair, I think I do want to try adding a hair scarf because again, it's all very clean and simple, but I want to add a pop of color, and I feel like red is the way to go with this. I thought about doing like a red lipstick, but I don't really wear lipstick very often. It's tedious. Ooh, okay. Yeah. Now the question is, do I want a belt? I had one of my acting students ask me if my belt was Gucci, and I was like, girl, no, it's Target. Like, what kind of budget do you think I have? You're 10, why do you care about Gucci? Actually, I think I like it. Okay. If I needed sunnies, I would go with these, I think. This is a very simple, classic kind of style with the tortoise shell. This is the preppiest bag I have, so obviously I'd go with my little baguette bag. Is it a baguette bag? I don't actually know. Okay, what in the Stepford Wives am I doing? So I'm gonna make myself stop here because the more I fuss with it, the more I'm gonna move away from my intended outcome, and I don't want to do that. So here is the preppy, classic girl kind of look. For hair and makeup, I would keep this very simple but very polished and refined, which my updo is not really at the moment, but just pretend it is. So for me, that's my everyday cat eye winged eyeliner, as well as doing something to tame my hair. Honestly, I rarely straighten it or curl it these days. I like to just leave it natural, but I would do something to at least polish the bits framing my face or pull it half up. I actually really like the hair bow for this. It's just that like effortless little pop of color. It says, look, I made some effort, even though I really didn't. But hair and makeup are not the most important. I think more important than that is keeping very simple, understated jewelry. So like I said, with this, I went with, oh, my voice is leaving me. Why are you doing that? I kept it very simple, very minimal, with simple gold pieces, and I kept all of my jewelry gold, even though I do like to mix and match my metals these days. So things like simple hoops, simple gemstones, pearls are perfect for this aesthetic. Anything with tortoise shell as well. So that's why I have the tortoise shell glasses. Tortoise shell is just one of those timeless elements that I don't know, I like it. You don't have to go with a belt. I think the belt works for this. And then for the purse and shoes, these are just the two preppiest things that I have. I feel like I'm over-explaining something that is really very simple. This is definitely the easiest out of the 3 style categories that I want to tackle today. So you know what? You have eyeballs. I'm gonna trust that you are an intelligent human being who can glean the knowledge that I'm trying to pass on to you. Simple, clean, elegant, basic things that just are like polished and put together. Yeah? Yeah.
Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Take me back to a...
So now moving on to the last broad style category, which is going to be your edgy alternative styles. This is my comfort zone. So let's do our word association again. The things that come to mind for me when I think of alternative styles obviously is darker colors. Typically I think of things with metal accents, harder, sharper edges, harder lines, typically thicker material, anything kind of harsh and dark. And so to start with, our outfit is very lightweight and light colored. So in this case, the accessories we choose are gonna be pivotal in either selling the look or not. So to start off with, I did change my eye makeup. I think I'm gonna leave my hair just like this. It's fine. It doesn't really need to be one way or another. I thought about doing space buns. I think that would be cute, but that hurts my scalp. so I'm skipping hair for now, but definitely a darker eye makeup, or if you're not really into eye makeup, a darker lip can really send your outfit that last 10% in the direction that you want it to go. I'm not really big on lipstick, like I said, so I just went with the kind of smoked out darker eye, and that doesn't have to be black eye makeup. On me, black or a cool toned gray is just too harsh, kind of makes me look like the living dead. So I've been going with more warm browns, like brown tones for my eyeshadow, and that's been working pretty well for me, and it still looks dark. So let's see what shoes we should do. I'm not sure. I could go with a boot maybe. I don't like where the cuff is hitting the boot. I think these would work too. Hold on. I think I want to go with the sandals. I don't know. Okay. Let's tackle jewelry and then I'll come back to the shoes. So like I mentioned, I want to go with sharp, blunt edges. So I literally went with jewelry that has weapons on it. Being a little literal here, but it's fine. So a couple layered necklaces here. I actually made the dagger necklace. And then these earrings are little axes. All right, so now let's figure out belt, bag, and shoes. I'm curious. Curious George. So I don't hate this. It just is a little bit yo-ho me hearties yo-ho, which is not quite what I'm going for. I'm always never sure how much to tuck my shirt in. Do we full tuck? Do we half tuck? Undo a button tuck? Tuck everlasting? I kind of like that. Okay. Do I want this for my bag? No, this is a little bit too polished somehow. I think the vibe is a little bit more casual with the distressed jeans and the unkempt half tuck shirt, so a little faux leather black backpack feels more appropriate. The heart ones are cute, but I don't think that's quite it. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling the black circles. Black circles. Wow, black circles. Melody, you are so good at words. I think this is where I want to leave it. I still feel like I should do boots. Okay, I'm gonna try it one more time. Okay, I am running into a little bit of a problem where the cuff hits the top of the boot, but it's fine. If I wore my Doc Martens, I might not be having that problem, but listen, I realize not everyone has Doc Martens. I thrifted these for like $8, which is probably more reasonable for a lot of people, so I wanted to use those. Okay. I think this works. Definitely a good thing I switched to these baggy distressed jeans instead of the weird slim fitting capris I had at first. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't think I was thinking. So here's what I'm going with for the edgy type style outfit using a white button down and jeans. So to reiterate each element, hair and makeup, honestly for all of these you can do whatever you want. For me, I find that a darker smoked out eyeshadow helps sell the look so much. Hair can kind of give or take with this. I know when I straighten my hair it tends to look a little bit more alternative, but that doesn't mean my wild woman natural hair won't work either. And then for jewelry, hard, sharp edges. If you can go with literally weapon jewelry, that's even better, I think. But anything with blunt, sharp lines. Chokers tend to be really good because they create a hard line between your head and the rest of the outfit, which if you're trying not to break your vertical line, that's probably not good, but it does create a very jarring effect, and you kind of want that jarring, disjointed feeling sometimes for an edgy look. Brought back the mix and match rings. I think being eclectic works for this kind of outfit as well. For bag, belt, and shoes, we're going with all black. Heavy combat or just chunky or lug sole boots work really well. The belt, I went with my black one with metal accents because like I said, that hard metal is gonna juxtapose with the flowiness of the top and the jeans and kind of create that disjointed feeling. And I mean, black leather is like such a staple in alternative fashions that do I really even need to explain it? Again, I'm over explaining something that's really not that complicated. At least I don't think. I mean, if you have any questions about anything that I have explained or explained poorly, like please ask them in the comments, because I didn't plan this video. I'm kind of just spouting off at the mouth.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile and
I actually really dig this last look. When it was just the button down and the jeans, I was like, ugh, I would not wear this, but with all of the elements added to it to make it look more edgy, I quite like it. So let me know if that was helpful to you at all. I really did not plan this video. I just kind of had a thought one night to make this and I ran with it. So it is what it is. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, I don't know, you picked the emoji today. I do not have any more thoughts left in my head. I'm spent. But thank you for watching. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye. A white button, but okay. Quickly, she says, and then takes 5 minutes to put on her shoes. Every time I say jewelry, I feel like it comes out jewelry.